I put on like 30 pounds. We did use some prosthetic enhancements on the face and stuff. They said, what happened to me and all this stuff. You know, I was bald. I was bald and I had the belly. Instead of waiting for people to come to me with something great, I would just kind of go and try to figure it out on my own. And that's why, you know, even with this now, you know, financing the film, owning the film, you have complete creative control, and I get to kind of showcase my ability.
Big Boy's Neighborhood, Mark Wahlberg in the neighborhood, man. First off, I got to say, Mark Wahlberg, welcome back to the neighborhood, brother. It's a pleasure to see you, my man.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you. God bless you.
And for anyone that's going to see Father Stu, which is in theaters now, if you don't know the story, don't Google. Don't. Go in there, man. Like, what I did, man, when you start talking about Father Stu, Mark, I didn't Google the movie, you know, but it is a great body of work, bro. What brought you to that script of Father Stu?
Well, somebody actually, there was no script. It was just the idea. I just heard his story from somebody who was one of his fellow priests. So I heard the story and I was like, all right, this is something that I think I should do. And then I had to go find a writer, kind of develop the script. Well, I started from scratch.
So there was no like Father Stu book or anything like that? You know how
no book, no documentary, nothing. I heard this amazing story from a priest, and then I kind of went out and eventually found somebody to write it and then put it together. It took 6 years to get it made.
Yeah, that's what my next question was. 6 years. What made you just listen to a story? And I know, Mark, you get pitched on things all the time. Everything can sound like an idea. Why did Father Stu? Why did you pick that up and say, man, I got to find a writer. I got to see this movie. I got to present this movie to people.
I just found it so inspiring, you know, obviously also challenging as an actor, but the movie itself and to do something that's going to inspire so many people at a time where, you know, I've been making movies for a long time and I've always wanted to do more. I know God has blessed me in so many ways to do something that he wants with it. And so I just felt like the story had came to me and the movie kind of chose me. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get this done. And then, of course, the story that spans well over 2 decades and follows a lot of his life was pretty big in its ambition and scope. So I wanted to try to make sure that I got it right. And then I ended up just financing it myself.
Yeah, so and even with that, man, with financing it yourself, that's really believing in a story, in a dream, in a person, and the message.
Yeah, you got to put your money where your faith is.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Could you have done something like Father Stu 10 years ago?
I don't think so. I think I was kind of getting ready for it. You know, being older, more mature, being a parent, having dealt with so much, you know, Stu was so effective because of all his real life experience, you know, so whoever he talked to, I mean, they felt him because they knew he had been through similar stuff. And that's why he was really so effective in what he did when he was ministering to people.
You know what I loved about it too, Mark Wahlberg, was when I'm watching the movie, I wasn't looking at Mark Wahlberg. You know what I'm saying? As many movies as we've seen you in, I wasn't looking and saying, oh, Mark is killing this. You know, I was looking at Father Stu through the decades, you know, and even some of and I don't want to give the movie away because it wasn't given away for us. You know what I'm saying? I really want people to go and really watch this movie. Like my wife and I, we're going to go see it today, right? And she's not going to Google. I said, babe, and she already was on the same page. Don't Google nothing. Don't find out about this guy until you see this movie. That was my introduction to Father Stu, was sitting down actually watching it in the theater. And without giving away so much, man, the weight gain. Was that actual weight gain, or did they add a little bit more to you in makeup as well?
I put on like 30 pounds. We did use some prosthetic enhancements on the face and stuff. And then, you know, I wore a suit part of the movie just because we only had 30 days to shoot the whole film.
Wow.
So we started with the boxing. That first day we did the boxing, and then everything else after that, I was eating 7,000 calories for the first 2 weeks, then 11,000 calories for the final 4 weeks.
Awesome.
So we did, because you really wanted to see, because here's the guy who was a boxer. I mean, he was tough. And then, you know, for him to be so much to be predicated on his physicality, only to lose that, you really wanted to see the audience to see how debilitating the disease was. And then for him to, you know, his spirituality basically just soared, you know, when he found his calling. So we wanted the audience to see that whole kind of transformation that he went through.
Hey, Mark, so you did the boxing first and then you
Yeah.
put that much weight on in 30 days, or you had a
Yeah.
little?
No break.
How do you gain 30 pounds from the guy that was over 500 pounds? How do you gain 30 pounds? And at one point, I know it's not fun. Some people say, man, I wish I could just gain weight and eat. And how do you gain 30 pounds damn near in like 25 days?
Well, so it's 30 shooting days is 6 weeks, right? So we had the weekends as well. But think about it. So the first meal I had was the only meal that was enjoyable because we were boxing all day. So we put on these porterhouse steaks. We had baked potatoes. I was like, oh, this is great. Had a huge meal. I was so stuffed. And then literally I got a knock on the door 3 hours later with another meal. And then I had to continue to eat that. So it was lots of proteins and healthy fats, but then it was like lots of starches for the second 2 weeks, and then the final 2 weeks lots of sodium, so to add the bloating effect and all that stuff.
Damn. Hey man, no one's seen you out, like, you know how when you're working on a project, but now everybody's so critical, like no one's seen you out.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, Mark,
no. They said what happened to me and all this stuff. You know, I was bald. And I had the belly. Yeah. Like, oh my God, look at this dad bod.
Yeah, they was like, man, this is over.
I know you're saying, Mark, that a lot of these foods, you're like, oh, it was so tough to eat all this, but there had to be something in those sodium days that you were like, you know what, though? This like top ramen's pretty good.
You know what? I didn't. He just kept me on the healthier side of things.
Oh,
it was like I was thinking at first, I was like, all right, I'm gonna be eating pancakes, I'm gonna be eating cookies and drinking wine and all the, just sitting on the bed eating ice cream, but none of that was on the menu. Nothing that I actually craved was on the menu. So I couldn't wait for that part of it to be over.
Is the cup of olive oil true? I read that in a headline.
Yeah, drinking the olive oil in the morning.
It makes you gain weight?
Yeah, but it's considered a healthy fat too. So yeah, with the rice, you could either dump it over the plain white. So I would have like a dozen eggs, dozen pieces of bacon, 2 bowls of white rice, a steak, and a glass of olive oil.
Oh, Lord have mercy. At any point, did you think, man, maybe I shouldn't tell this Father Stu story?
You know what? That did come to, I tell you what, it'd be hard pressed to do it again.
Right. Was it hard? Was it harder to gain or harder to lose?
It was much easier to lose it.
Wow.
I lost it pretty quickly. I just started going back to the gym. I was in F45. I was kind of exercising, eating right. But yeah, I was looking forward to that part of it being over.
Hey, Mark, and with Father Stu, which is in theaters now, man, the casting was so great. And that's another thing, dude, where I was sitting there, I'm like, is that Mel Gibson?
Yeah,
Knowing it's Mel Gibson, but just the casting and the female lead, what's her name?
Teresa Ruiz.
Dude, she did an amazing job, man. Mom's was
Jackie Weaver is your mom,
yeah, it was such a great movie, and I really encourage people to go see this, man. Individually, as a couple, as with your friends, like it's a movie, bro. That when it was over, and I tell people, watch it all the way to the end, because I'm a credit watcher. And Jason and Louis, my guys, they walked out. We watched the whole movie. They watched the whole movie. But I had to come out and tell them, like, bro, there was another scene in the movie that you guys didn't see that was him. But stay to the end.
Mark, one thing that I really loved about the movie is every time people knew about Father Stu was that he didn't take no for an answer. And in your career, how did you overcome hearing no? Because I'm sure you've heard no plenty of times.
Hear no all the time. Well, I just always felt like in order for me to be in control of my own destiny, I had to go seek out material. So, when I produced The Fighter or either Father Stu or many other projects, those are movies that I kind of just started on my own. I developed, I would go and get the rights to the story and kind of figure it out from scratch. So instead of waiting for people to come to me with something great, I would just kind of go and try to figure it out on my own. And that's why, even with this now, financing the film, owning the film, you have complete creative control, and I get to kind of showcase my ability.
I've seen your career for so long now, just watching you from movies to everything that you've done. Even though I don't know you, I want to say I'm really proud of you. And everything that you've turned your career into is really, really amazing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I'm going to start really challenging, encouraging other people to do stuff that represents their faith and that, you know, is everybody just doing a little bit more to bring people together. And also what I loved about the movie, it really focuses on seeing the good in everybody, you know, and knowing that, you know, nobody's beyond redemption, and you gotta, you know, people gotta know that they're loved and supported, you know, and then you know, hopefully it'll strengthen their hope and their faith, and challenge everybody to find out whatever their role is in God's big plan, you know, to kind of find that and do their thing too.
Now, how involved is, like, I don't know if there's an estate of Father Stu or anything like that, but how involved are any of the family or people that knew him? What was the research like?
They were very helpful. Spent lots of time with his dad, family, friends, guys that he went to the seminary with. You know, you really had to kind of get to know him through all the people that he touched, and it was amazing because, you know, they kind of trusted me with this really special story. And, you know, we just had a premiere in Montana where we showed the family and everybody, and where Stu was a priest at a Carroll College. If you see the amount of people that he touched, it was remarkable. I mean, he had only been a priest for 4 short years, but he really did a lot of work in that time.
Yeah, man, and you'll see that reflect through the movie too. There's certain parts of that I don't want to give away.
And Mark, is this going to be released international? Because even me watching it, I went home and I told my mom and my dad about it, and they're Spanish speaking, and I was like, man, I hope this gets translated into Spanish because this story is just, you know,
sure.
Yeah,
for sure, absolutely. It's coming out in the U.S. and English speaking territories first, but it's going to come out all over the world, and we'll hopefully do the same thing that we did in the States and literally go all over the world to promote the film.
Wow.
Hey, Mark, the last time we had
America, Asia, Europe.
We had you in the neighborhood, man. I spoke about the Mark Wahlberg Mount Rushmore. Does this Father Stu movie, does that get on the Mark Wahlberg Mount Rushmore?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. That's right up there at the top.
Mark, I'm going to tell you, man, you guys did an amazing, amazing job with Father Stu.
Powerful, bro.
Very powerful,
yeah,
bro.
Man.
Very powerful.
Thank
and you know how when people do something, they say, oh, it's my best work yet. You know, oh, it's my best album. It's my best song. It's my best movie. This was, bro, it was an amazing movie, man. And I thank you for making this. I thank you for going and doing the research and presenting this to us. And like how you said, there was no documentary, no book, you know, just to hear a story and bring this story to us is amazing. I'm grateful for it. And I'm grateful for you. And thank you for coming into the neighborhood, Mark.
Oh, thank you, sir. God bless you. Always a pleasure.
Man, believe that. Mark Wahlberg in the Neighborhood, Father Stu is a must-see movie. You guys got to go check it out, man. Big Boy's Neighborhood.